when their guy plays some games.
Alright, hi everybody, Weather Guy here. We are back with some more of the great Ace Attorney Chronicles. I hope you're doing good. I am feeling fantastic. I don't know why I said it like that, but I'm not doing too bad. I'm doing really good. I've been playing nothing but Ace Attorney lately on this channel. I've been rolling it out as much as I can because this game takes up more of my recording time than anything else because I have 3 hours of it a week, you know, so been just playing so much to try to get ahead with my new kiddo, you know, before they come home. So what do we have here? We have to go to Madame Tuspel's because we're gonna go find Herlock Sholmes. We're gonna see what he's up to and what updates he has or anything like that. He's been acting a little bit suspicious too and downtrodden today, so he's up to something. Madame Tuspel's Museum of Waxworks. Okay, that's interesting. Waxworks. You know what this immediately reminds me of before we get into it? When I think of wax, I think of wax figures, like wax versions of people. And for some reason, I think that's going to be involved in some way, right? Oh gosh, this place looks so sick. I love this. Yeah. Well, what is this place? Dude, I would love to come to a place like this. This is beautiful. Look at all these terrifying scenes, but why are the people so still? Guillotines, ruthless murderers. I know what I'll be dreaming about tonight. They're all wax models. They're amazingly realistic, aren't they? I also just had a big old plate of Cocoa Puffs, which was delicious. What do you think, Bruno? Shocked? Well, wax models? It's not that scary at all. I read about the dead bodies and wax once in a magazine about strange phenomena. Depending on how corpses are kept after death, but parts of them can turn to wax, apparently. He thinks these are corpses. It's called I have no idea how to say this word. I'm gonna guess it's... Oh god, I don't even know what my guess would be. Adapted... Adipochere, maybe. Hopefully he never says it again. Stop talking about creepy things like that, Bruno. You're scaring me. Anyway, it doesn't form readily, you know. It's... What now? I've just remembered something else I read. Another magazine about strange phenomena. It also says that right before these people die, they poop their pants. So sorry, it's so stupid. There's an old lady, maybe a witch, who used to pour molten wax over corpses and put them on display. None of the exhibits in here are real. They're all entirely man-made replicas. They can't be. Do you really expect me to believe that? Just look at them. I don't think Ryu's really seen much of a dead body before after a while, because none of them would look anything like this. Look how great the eyes look, you know? Silliness. Oh! There's no way anybody can make models of people that are this realistic. Gosh, that one is really scary. And they're all such gruesome scenes. Man. That really resembles like a slightly taller version of Magilda, doesn't it? Wait. Yeah, of course there's Herlock Sholmes as well, being silly. What is it? Oh, no. I must be seeing things. Oh, that's suspicious, isn't it? I love that. There's gonna be a lot to look at here. Is this an arm? It looks like an arm, doesn't it? Maybe one of the waxwork models has fallen over. You don't think it could be the work of one of the mass murderers in here, do you? Bruno, stop scaring me. Is it a wax arm or a real one? Come on, you're always pointing that finger of yours in court. Poke that arm now and see how it feels. Objection. Great. That big heavy curtain is in a very prominent position, isn't it? I have a nasty feeling there's going to be something truly terrifying behind it. Oh yes, that's the famous Tuspel special exhibit. It depicts one of England's most notorious killers. You want to pay the extra fee and have a look? Pay more money to be even more terrified? Oh, let me think about that for a moment. Did I really want to see it? It's only a suggestion. These models are so well made I can't tell what's a waxwork and what's a real human. Or maybe all the exhibits are real people. And when it's closing time and all the visitors have gone home, they suddenly start moving about. Ah, that's some night at the museum stuff, huh? Thinking about it makes me wish it was closing time already and I was on my way home. Dude, I don't remember what the plot of that movie is at all. I just know it's Ben Stiller, he's like a museum guard, and then it's nighttime, and then everything comes to life, but I have no idea what happens after that, you know what I mean? Or why there's a sequel. I need to watch those again. And it probably doesn't hold a candle to Indian in the Cupboard. Y'all see Indian in the Cupboard? What a great 90s kids movie. So fun. Everybody wanted one of those, you know? The VHS copy came with a little key for a cupboard. Really showing my age there a bit. Alright, come on, let's talk about that being McGilded. Is this an example of Western suggery? I don't know. I'm so uncultured, I'm so sorry. I don't know what that is. You know, when an unscrupulous samurai randomly attacks a passerby to test his sword? I still don't know, no. That just sounds like someone sucker punching somebody, you know? Actually, a waxwork samurai would probably be hugely popular. Could you model it, do you think, Bruno? Doing that shoo-doo-doo thing you mentioned? I do have a sword, but I have no intention of testing how sharp it is on a human subject. For now, at least. Okay, so maybe it's not McGilded. Nothing particular of note. Oh, I clicked the wrong thing. Oh, that's a funny place for a little ladder. What is it? Is something wrong? No, it's just that in Japanese we have a totally different word for a ladder that folds in half like that. We do in English too, you know. It's a step ladder or just steps. So be careful of making assumptions about other cultures, you know. That's how wars are started. I didn't realize step ladders were an international point of contention, but the writer makes an astute point. Alright. Alright. Is it time to talk to our buddy Sherlock? Rather. Let's look to the left side first, actually, before we engage in that. Is this some infamous murderer? Yes, called Jane the Ripper. Oh, of course. A play off of Jack the Ripper. That's something I really feel like I should read more into, is the history of the Jack the Ripper stuff, because I know next to nothing about it. Maybe I can find a good documentary on it. We'll see. I knew it. You can tell by the way she's holding that knife. Sure sign of a murderer. This is so interesting how terrified Ryu is of this, even though when he's been around several murderers now, right? And been totally confident confronting a murderer in court. What's the matter, Reno? I've worked it out. I know what she's doing. She's trying to fill that bathtub with blood so she can have a soak in her victim's gore. Not according to the information about the exhibit on the little board here. Doesn't mention anything about the bathtub. Really? Sorry, I don't think it's a significant... I still think it has to be there for a reason. Alright, I guess this whole exhibit's one big thing to look at. Alright, that's about it. Interesting. I think now it's probably time to talk to Herlock Sholmes. And look at this exhibit again. He's just It's so odd and unsettling just standing behind a sleeping person like that. I hate it. It's the great detective, Mr. Herlock Sholmes. Mr. Sholmes has his own wax statue in here, really? Obviously not. Look how saturated he is. Well, he is world famous after all. It's uncanny resemblance, isn't it? It makes my skin crawl to look at it. I know. But look, Bruno, you can kick this Hurley and he doesn't even move a muscle. No way. You can't go around kicking things. There it is. It just moved, I'm sure, and not just a little bit either. Come on, buddy. Really? Did it? Look closely. There are beads of sweat on the face of this waxwork model. There we go. Give up. Shall we move on, Iris? Over there, look, there's a great murder scene to enjoy, much more appealing. There it is. My dear fellow, I take exception to your recoiling in such a manner as you've seen something truly abhorrent. Mr. Sholmes. I knew it. Iris, what possessed you? I strictly forbade you from divulging my temporary waxwork secret to Mr. Ryu. Temporary waxwork? What do you mean? And that kick, could you not have exercised a little more restraint? You winded me. But Bruno has something he needs to ask you. A question? I thought you'd probably be getting bored too. So here we are. Well, I can't deny that your timing was impeccable. A mere 2 minutes before being stationary like that, and my great brain, on which all my success has been built, would have turned to wax. Thank goodness we arrived in time. Indeed, in many ways, the pair of you just saved the world from an unimaginable loss. Oh, Hurley, you do like to talk nonsense, don't you? You could know something, it's true, about Lord Van Zeeks and what happened in the past to change him. Now that you're here, let's take our time. How can I be of assistance? For you're in luck, I'm suddenly quite taken with the idea of conversing. Oh, well, actually, I'm in quite a hurry. And if my eyes don't deceive me, I believe something is afoot within the walls of this very museum. Most fascinating case, if I'm not mistaken. Really? Moreover, I have a strong suspicion that it is related to the matter about which you've come to me now. But how could it be? We shall speak again presently, my dear fellow, but for now I must return to my work. What? Back to being a temporary waxwork exhibit? Well, I want to talk to him. There we go. What is this place? Madame Tussbells came to London from France 3 years ago, I understand. Since she opened this little waxwork museum last year, it's enjoyed great popularity in London. There are museums like this in Japan too, but these displays are something else. I mean, they aren't made from actual real people, are they? The extreme realism of these waxwork models is a particular secret of the Tussbell family, they say. They earned renown during the French Revolution for waxworks of victims of the guillotine. That sounds grim. The gruesome scenes were portrayed with such realism in the expressions of the faces of the condemned. Apparently, the sculptors would make the models directly from the corpses, right there at the site of the executions. That's actually really weird. I can never. As if that's what's holding me back from being an amazing wax sculptor. That really turns my stomach. That's just one of several legends about the Tussbells family. Whether there's any truth in it, I couldn't say. But anyway, this museum houses models of famous people from all over the globe. Nevertheless, the most popular area of the museum by quite some margin is this House of Horrors. A House of Horrors? Of course, visitor numbers are dwindling now as a result of the great exhibition. But people usually flock here to see the exhibits of some of London's most vile criminals at their gruesome work. Naturally, most of the miscreants portrayed here were sent to the gallows, so they're even stiffer now than the models of them. Ha 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 ha. Have you heard of poor taste? My dear fellow, the public live for poor taste. They yearn to be shocked. So, the hideous exhibits in here are... They're all portrayals of real events that actually took place. It's just me, or did the temperature in here just seem to drop? Kinda love this. Anyway, I advise you not to think too deeply about what you see here. Oh, he's back to being a waxwork, is he? Next one. What do you mean by a temporary waxwork, Mr. Sholmes? Come on, give us the news, bud. Exactly what you see. I'm part of the exhibits here, catching these criminals in the act. Catching them. Every half an hour I home in on a different killer in one of the displays and adopt a new pose to ensnare him. When members of the public come for a closer look, I offer them my hand to shake. For a shilling, I'm happily allow them to take a photograph with us. Us? Does he mean him and the waxwork murderers in here? But why, Mr. Sholmes? My dear fellow, isn't it obvious? For the money! Yeah, that is pretty obvious, actually. You really roared at me there. Very fitting for the House of Horrors. As it stands, I may struggle to pay this month's rent, and I have the ravenous iris to consider. Ah, I see. That likely explained his despondency earlier was his financial situation, right? Very relatable. Oh, Hurley, I'm so hungry. If push comes to shove, I shall have to ask you to do your bit, Mr. Ryu. What's he threatening to rope me into now? Probably paying rent. So, with that in mind, how about a photograph? As a special treat, you may have your pick of the murderers and scoundrels in here. The choice is yours. Maybe some other time. Remember, Mr. Ryu, ignore me at your peril. Alright, one more to go. Back to being a waxwork again. Yeah. Now let's do what we came here for. Talk about Van Zieks. Well, what is it you'd like to ask me then? Actually, it's about Lord Van Zieks. Ah, our friend Mr. Reaper. How did you find him? Well, I trust. Oh, here we go. So I filled Mr. Sholmes in about everything I learned. Dude, I love when things like this happen in games. I love when it doesn't just force you to listen to a repeat of information, a regurgitation. This happens a lot whenever I play Dungeons and Dragons, actually, because you'll learn something from like a history check, right? You'll learn about what happened in the past about a certain thing, right? And the dungeon master tells you out loud to the whole group, right? But he's directing it to your character. He's like, you would know XYZ, blah, blah, blah. And then instead of repeating all of it, I'm just like, okay, tell everybody what you just said. Because it's just, no one wants to hear me repeat everything, paraphrasing it, you know what I mean? About Lord Van Zieks, about Professor Hairbrain, and about the strange coincidence that they had been at university together. Alright, there we go. So I'm wondering what it was that happened to make Lord Van Zieks such a different person. I was sure that you'd know, Hurley. Definitely knows. You said there was something going on here in this exhibit hall before, that something was afoot. That you believed it was related to what I wanted to ask you about. Oh. Hang on. I have a theory, new theory, about something that's about to happen. I think that one of these depictions here, maybe the one right behind them, is of the Reaper, or it's a depiction of whatever happened to make Lord Van Zieks so sad, or angry, or bitter, whatever you want to call it. Mr. Sholmes suddenly clammed up. Well, it seems we've reached the unavoidable... Who's this? Oh my god. This lady is incredible. And intimidating. Oh, hello. Terrible timing though. I wanted to learn about Van Zieks. Where'd she appear from? What's she wearing? Could she look any more mysterious? She looks like a classic witch, doesn't she? Ooh, the red eye. Oh, that's sick. I hope you are appreciating my museum. Sorry, have we... Mr. Sholmes, do you know that... No, don't blow Sholmes' cover. Not again. My apologies, I am Esmeralda Tuspels. This is my museum of waxwork. What? You're the Madame Tuspels? Though only 26 years young, I might add. Is that significant somehow? I'm a madam in name only. It adds a certain blah 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 quoi. I'm sorry, I don't know any. I'm presuming that's French. Right. Firstly, I must apologize for my waxworks. Or rather, one waxwork in particular. That'll be Mr. Sholmes then. I was led to believe he was a great detective, but he seems unable to settle. Oh no. Next time you move from your designated exhibit, there will be toil and trouble. I love that. She sounds deadly serious. That's a problem. How am I supposed to ask Mr. Sholmes about Lord Van Zieks now? Let's not forget what Hurley said before, about something being afoot. Right here in the museum, I mean. Yes, I know, but... I'm so curious! I want to know what's happening here! Haven't we got enough on our plate already? Dude, this investigation phase is so crazy and long. There's so much that's happened. We started off at Sholmes' place. We went to the exhibit, we went to the prison, we went to Stronghearts, we went to the prosecutor's office, and we went to some of those locations multiple times. The exhibit took like a whole episode, and now this is becoming quite significant as well. Crazy investigation phase. Anything new to examine? There is actually. Oh, that's odd. I wonder if we can ask her about the exhibits. No. Why is this one? These models are so well made, I can't tell what's a waxwork and what's a real human. That's how Hurley gets away with making himself a temporary exhibit for the day. Maybe there are other people posing as exhibits in here then. Or maybe all the exhibits are real people. And when it's closing time and all the visitors have gone home, they suddenly start moving about. Oh, we did this, didn't we? She said something similarly creepy earlier, at least. And we can talk to her. Is he gonna respond? He's not even blinking now. Hurley is a perfect model of a waxwork model. I know it doesn't always seem like it, but Hurley's quite a perfectionist, in fact. Practices at night sometimes instead of sleeping. Not blinking, I mean. Well, practice makes perfect, I suppose. I just realized, though, seeing him standing over there now. He looks like he's that murderer's accomplice, doesn't he? Or henchman, even. That's news to someone by the look of it. Alright, let's talk to Madame Tuspels, huh? I think we've put it off long enough. Did you make all these waxworks, Madame Tuspels? I did. I am the third generation of waxwork artisans, you know. Gosh! It was my grandmother who began the tradition in my family. Her fortunes were checkered, living through the turbulent times of the French Revolution, as she did. Though that is when she acquired the savoir-faire that leads to the astonishing lifelikeness. All these waxworks really do look as though they're alive. In fact, they look more alive than Hurley. Great. What you see exhibited here represents the most atrocious of London's criminal past. All the waxworks were created in the presence of the real people on which they are modeled, and the hours immediately following their executions. That is a secret to the extraordinary lifelikeness. That sounds terrifying. I wonder if that's going to be relevant in some way. I don't know. All walks of life have similar challenges, I'm sure. To carry out one's trade par excellence, one must go to extraordinary lengths. My exhibits are a reflection of society. I create only that which the public wishes to see. She's kind of suspicious, huh? Oh, why couldn't the public have wished for something less horrifying? Do not fear. Sorry? This room is the only one in the museum with such a macabre theme. I do hope you'll explore. There are models of famous singers, actors, politicians, something for every taste, I hope. It's Iris who dragged me straight in here. Come to think of it. Sorry, perhaps I should have eased you into things. Alright, great detective waxwork. What's the situation with that? My temporary waxwork model? He approached me some days ago, you see, with a business proposal. Oh, what sort of proposal? My dear madam, what these sparse exhibits need is the addition of a world-famous great detective. Not much of a pitch, huh? Or words to that effect. Naturally, I am well aware that Mr. Sholmes is widely known in London as a talented detective. Its great detective actually is very specific about it. Yes, the creme de la creme. So I was keen to come to some arrangement with him, of course. But sadly, we were unable to agree terms. Let me guess. Someone wanted to charge an exorbitant amount for his services. For a mere £500, I will dive into your cauldron of wax this very moment. Crazy. Or words to that effect. Mr. Jones might have overdone it slightly with the sales pitch. Regrettably, the museum has a shortage of funds at the moment due to unforeseen circumstances. Uh-oh. That's odd. So we came to the current arrangement instead. Surely he doesn't really need to do what he's doing though, does he? I would think not, but he was very insistent. I have a 50-shilling problem. That must be resolved by the morning. Or words to that effect. She is lovely, huh? She's a little bit suspicious, but she's lovely. It's pawnbroker, that's what it is. He must have something to redeem. Is the consulting detective work not going so well? I have a theory about this. I think he wants to redeem the Count of the Baskervilles manuscript because of the reveal of the collar earlier. Or whatever that was. I'm assuming it's a collar, but it may not be. I wonder, could I ask you something? I'm just curious, is anything going on in the museum at the moment? Some kind of incident, perhaps? Oh, music quieting. She's about to tell us some important stuff. Whoever suggested such a thing to you? Oh, well, it was... He's gone. Your temporary waxwork over there who mentioned it to me a little... Oh, he's disappeared. Oh boy. There you are. Leaving the exhibit again when he should be working? Do you wish to be melted down? My dear Madam Tispels, save your reprimands. There are more pressing concerns. The wax can wait. It's our ideas about your current problem we must throw into the melting pot instead. Personally, I would advise you not to involve the police. Why ever not? He's turned as white as a sheet. Because you have at your disposal a great detective whose services you may employ for a mere 50 shillings. Though please be aware that I prefer... No, I insist upon payment in advance. Yeah, this guy is desperate for money. Very well. Let us see if the great detective is able to live up to his name, shall we? Before I engage my analytical processes, I must ask you to clarify something. Are we about to have a deduction? What, pray, is behind the curtain? That is the Tusk Spell special exhibit. There is an extra charge to see it. Ah, the special exhibit in the House of Horrors. It must depict a special killer then, I presume. Would you be so kind as to draw back the curtain, I wonder? Ah, absolutely not. There is nothing amiss behind there. Nothing amiss, madam. What about the arm protruding ominously from under the curtain? Ah! I strongly encourage you to allow me to see what lies beyond before the situation worsens. Come on, give us the news. Yes, very well. I will draw back the curtains, but only a little bit. Let's see it. Come on. Oh, that's so ominous. Oh my god. I must confess I peeked behind the curtain earlier. Test Spell Special Exhibit is a very bleak graveyard scene indeed. And yet, somewhat surprisingly, the waxwork killer one would expect is nowhere to be seen. What does strike one, however, is a portly gentleman lying peacefully on his back on the floor. Have we seen him before? I feel like we've seen him before. Maybe I'm mistaken. Well then, perhaps, Mr. Sholmes, that man on the floor is the ruthless killer himself. I'm afraid not, my dear fellow. He's a perfectly ordinary London gentleman, not even a waxwork, in fact. What? As skillfully made as these waxworks are, they are always distinguishable from real humans. So, allow me to present my two conclusions. Oh, fudge, here we go. The first is that a sizable business transaction has been taking place in this special exhibit. Why would you say that? And the second is that the aforementioned transaction is linked to a serious crime. She looks as pale as candle wax. I don't understand. So, Madame Tuspels, as you've agreed to my fee, you shall now have the pleasure of seeing this famously great detective and temporary exhibit at work. Here we go. Here we go. The great deduction time. Let's see what nonsense he's gonna spout. I was not expecting one of these today at all. To begin with, we must ask ourselves what exactly is afoot here in this museum. The answer is revealed by the bundle of banknotes protruding so helpfully from your bag. In my estimation, some £200. That is all my own money. So what does this large sum of money reveal? Ah, not as much as the involuntary glance you cast, it would seem, Madame Tuspels. Yes, the answer lies where your eyes now fall. They do this one a lot, where the person glances at, you figure it out. The significance of the £200 is revealed by that public notice. No, that's where we're going to have to correct it. Waxwork for sale. Your business has hit hard times, it would seem. In short, you sold the infamous killer the centerpiece of your special exhibit for the sum of £200. Now, let us explore the next curiosity with which we are presented. Who is the portly gentleman stretched out so peacefully on the floor? It would appear the man has suffered a severe shock, the cause of which is clearly known to you. Ah. Unfortunately, madam, keeping secrets does not appear to be your forte. What dealt the man such a shocking blow was, of course, the £200. Honestly, I have no idea where this is actually going, so I'm kind of excited to figure it out. It would appear that you twisted this gentleman around your little finger most effectively. What are you suggesting? He rashly agreed to purchase the waxwork for the sum of £200. Only when he came to hand the money over did it occur to him what an extortionate amount he was paying. The money was no longer in his hands. And the result? The scene we see before us. He collapsed in shock. I don't want to do that sometimes, you know? You pay one of your bills and, oh, buddy. Yes, the killer in this special exhibit fetched a killer price. Can only pray that the gentleman's dreams are not plagued with regret. So I wonder if the question that arises then is, what has become of the waxwork that changed hands? My theory is that I wonder what number 139 is, but my theory is that the killer that's supposed to be in this exhibit is actually the victim in the case, the Arsden, can't remember his name, something like that, but you know what I'm talking about, the victim who was also the leader of a notorious gang. I think he is actually, they don't have the wax for him yet. They're waiting till they get his body all together and stuff, right? That's what I think. Let us consider that problem for a moment, and we'll find out if I'm right probably in a moment. I don't know. You cannot possibly. What immediately strikes me about this conundrum is the young man standing over there. Who is this fellow? To find the answer, we need only observe his neckerchief, such as is worn by a policeman as a secret sign to fellow members of force that a crime is being perpetrated. Yes, this young man is an undercover policeman currently investigating this museum. I know him well, in fact, it's Sergeant John Clay. What are you talking about? The man's quite a celebrity. He received triple accolades at last year's policing awards. But next, we turn our attention to the old man. That's definitely the policeman right there. I've been watching closely and he hasn't moved a muscle. Almost, in fact, as if he were a waxwork. That's definitely just the sleeping guard, right? Ah, but you... Your reaction only confirms my suspicions, madam. I noticed it at once, of course. Observe. The telltale sign that instantly proves whether or not this old man's waxwork is the obvious price tag. Threepence? A tragically low price, you might say. Though perhaps the going rate for aging waxwork's riddled with cracks. It's definitely just the price tag for his scarf. And yet you sold it to the portly gentleman for an exorbitant £200. The sort of plucky behavior that's sure to attract the attention of Scotland Yard. Isn't that so, madam? I do not... He's so far off this time, isn't he? Yes, the waxwork you sold has already been seized by the police and remains in their custody as we speak. The old man must be reunited with his grave in the special exhibit, and not a moment too soon. Terrible. Terrible conclusions. Thus concludes Sherlock Holmes' great deduction of the horrifying puzzle. Great. Let's tell him how terrible he is. Oh no. I see I've stunned you all into silence. You have, Hurley, you have. And you've obviously upset this young lady in the process. Her cauldron looks awfully hot. If I could just bring up one point, Mr. Sholmes. Ah, the notorious Ryu, 1 point. I'm all ears, my dear fellow. According to your deduction, then, the special exhibit featured this old policeman. So that would mean that he's the particularly ruthless murderer, wouldn't it? The killer policeman, Ottermole. Definitely making it up. Sorry? It was a mysterious series of murders that rattled the capital only last year. The police rushed to the scene every time, only to find the culprit had disappeared into the ether. And it turned out the culprit was a policeman himself, a senior officer by the name of Ottermole. So you mean that's who the sinister-looking old man there is supposed to be? Indeed, it is a particularly grim face, is it not? Unforgettable, in fact. Yes, I remember that odious countenance only too well. But is £200 a lot of money for a wax model? It would be enough to afford one of the latest steaming carriages if that puts things in perspective. So it is quite a lot then? Is there anything else you wish to add? Before I melt you down. That bubbling wax is looking more and more ominous. Ah! The smell of all that molten wax is starting to worry me. Miss Sholmes did more or less just accuse her to her face, so I think I might have to call in your assistance here, Iris, if that's alright. To make some minor corrections to the great detective's great deductions. Of course it's alright. We'll soon set things straight. It's nice having a partner who isn't totally obsessed with her like Sholmes like Susato was, you know? Makes things a little bit easier. Well, let's get started then, shall we? Before Madame dispels wins her anger. Just what I was waiting to hear, my dear fellow. So, Madame dispels, in accordance with our agreement, you shall now have the pleasure of seeing this famously great detective and temporary exhibit at work. Oh, so he's saying, yeah. Alright. Time for some course correction. Bum, ba-dum, bum, bum, bum. That seems to be reasonable. Like, that seems to be accurate that that's an issue, right? Gotta figure out what she was gazing at, though. Alright, time to hop in. Correct things. She definitely looked in this direction, it's true. But I'm not sure she'd sell any of her waxworks, even for 200 pounds. Oh? She must pour her heart and soul into making them, don't you think? Over and above the wax. If it were me, I wouldn't sell them for anything. Good point. For that much money, I would. But it sounds like that makes me a bad person. Well, anyway, I wonder if the 200 pounds could have some other significance. Let's follow that further glance again and see if there's anything else that could explain it. Alright. Oh, there it is. Note on the wall. What's that note doing pinned on the wall there? Oh yes, let's see. Dear Madame Tuspels, we've taken the prisoner from this room. She had a prisoner. The price for a safe return is 200 pounds. Have the money ready by noon on 23rd October. What? This is just like the sort of thing that's left behind when someone is kidnapped. Yes, it's a ransom note. Exactly. There we go.
Take that!
That helps. The significance of the 200 pounds is revealed by that ransom note. Quite so, we must congratulate these criminals on their inventiveness abducting a waxwork. 200 pounds is no small ransom fee, yet you clearly intend to pay it. The model in question has special importance, so I put together all the money I have. In summary then, the 200 pounds you have in your handbag is ransom money. Alright. Now we gotta figure out this part. So this one I think we're just gonna answer the question, right? So if the waxwork was kidnapped, where does that leave us in terms of who this man is? Could just ask him when he comes around. I think the point of this exercise is to understand the beauty of the deduction process, Iris. Yes, you're right. Hurley's trying so hard we mustn't let him down. Well, there's little doubt that he suffered a shock. That much seems clear. In that case, what's Madame Tuspels trying to hide? Let's have a closer look around. Oh, maybe something on his body. Wait. That's a hand. What the hell? No. I saw it. Where is it? Where's that other hand? Oh, that's the hand sticking out the bottom. I'm so dumb. This is just Madame Tuspel's right hand, isn't it? Yes, it must be. I can clearly see her left hand after all. Oh, but wait a minute. This is a left hand as well, look. Don't say such creepy things, Iris, please. And it seems very stiff, too. In fact, it's really hard. You mean it's made of wax? Yeah, let's check that out.
Take that!
What dealt the man such a shocking blow was, of course, the waxwork hand. Indeed, with a solid waxwork limb, one could deliver a very substantial blow. How could you... The hand protruding from the bottom of your cape. What a great weapon. It ought to be a right hand, but closer inspection reveals that it in fact is a left hand. Ah! And somewhat masculine as well. In other words, it does not belong to you, madam. It's the hand of a waxwork model. Great. Lovely. Some of the visitors to my museum can be troublesome. They meddle with the exhibits and cause damage. So you mean that arm? Yes, this gentleman saw fit to try to remove it as a souvenir. No small keepsake. Like taking a whole branch of a cherry tree when you go to view the blossoms. I'm afraid I'd teach the man a lesson. Right? You confronted the man, tried to take the arm back. And the results, the scene we see before us. He was knocked unconscious. Point we may need to revisit later, but for the time being, we have our conclusion. Yes, the killer in this special exhibit has been kidnapped. Nice. Topic 1, cleaned out, baby. The question that arises then is, what has become of the waxwork that changed hands? Yep. Time to get ready to correct him on this silliness. That must be that might be the person that is bribing her. I don't know. Or blackmailing, rather. According to Mr. Sholmes, the yellow neckerchief is a sign to other policemen that some crime is underway. Way of communicating with his colleagues without revealing his identity, yes. It's a secret that's closely guarded by Scotland Yard. And Mr. Sholmes didn't hesitate to give away. Well, uncovering secrets is any true detective's nature, of course. Right, anyway, judging from Madame Tuspel's reaction to Mr. Sholmes' seduction, I think perhaps we might not have identified the man quite correctly. Of course. I'm so stupid. I was like, clearly, this is the man that she is going to be having the trade with, and he's just being very still. But people aren't that silly. Only Sherlock Holmes is that silly.
Take that!
Who is this fellow? To find the answer, we need only observe his shoulder stub. No such boneless human walks this earth, of that I can assure you. In other words, the man standing here, the young Sergeant John Clay, is in fact, defying all odds, a waxwork model. I seem to remember it was you who concluded he was a real person in the first place, Mr. Sholmes. He has become quite a celebrity in London, being the winner of no less than 3 policing awards last year. I simply had to make a model of the man. Naturally, what other explanation could there be? And it was this detective's arm that was pulled off by the man on the floor in the special exhibit, wasn't it? Next, we turn our attention to the old man sat before him with a particularly unsightly visage. That guy has a handkerchief. The frickin' yellow thing he was talking about. On his arm over there. Killer policeman called Automole, was it? Was he well known? It's all over the papers last year, but I can't say I know what he looks like. It's a very low price, though. Threepence isn't much money. Only enough for a few measly hours of gas in Mr. Garrett's delightful lodgings, in fact. So this is a special killer taken from the special exhibit, is it? Waxwork that somebody stole from the museum and tried to ransom for 200 pounds? Is this crusty old killer policeman Automobile, really? Perhaps we should have a good look around again and see if another idea crops up. Oh, from above like this? Interesting. Oh my god.
Take that!
He's just snoozing. I had a feeling he was just a snoozing cop, but still. Telltale sign that instantly proves whether or not this old man's waxwork is the obvious twitch. Even the most realistic waxworks do not exhibit a twitch. In other words, this splendid old man is in fact a genuine member of Scotland Yard. Slight shift in your choice of adjectives, then. And there you have it. Well, Madame Suspels? Well, what? It was me who contacted the police and demanded that someone come in the first place. He is clearly fatigued. He is sound asleep. But then, what's this tag about showing a price of 3 pence? No doubt the price tag of the muffler which the old Bobby purchased recently at a local market. And I presume you've observed the scarf tied around his arm. Does that not strike you, Mr. Ryu? Yes, a secret sign used by detectives to show that some criminal activities are currently underway. Of course, because as you know, there has been just such criminal activity happening here. As you deduced from the very beginning, Detective. So, it would seem that we finally arrived at the truth. It took a long way to get there, but we got there. And somehow this is going to tie back to the main case, presumably. The waxwork of the especially ruthless killer from the special exhibit has been kidnapped. And Scotland Yard are already investigating. But the model's whereabouts remain a mystery. Thus concludes Sherlock Holmes' great deduction of this horrifying puzzle. Great, we did it. We did good. We are successful in our endeavors. Feels great. So, is she gonna tell us though who the killer was? That the wax was modeled after? My theory about it being the victim, a model of the victim of the previous thing, seems to be terrible. All sorts of people visit my museum here, men and women, young and old. Sometimes they drop in just for a short time on their way back from the pub. I welcome them all. But if anyone tries to damage my exhibits, I do not take it lightly. Anyway. Lovely. Your great deduction was even more enchanting than I had been led to believe. It was a pleasure, my dear madam. I am gratified that you enjoyed the spectacle. And as for your rough customer, I have no doubt he'll regain consciousness shortly and return home. What concerns me more is the waxwork from the special display. It was indeed genuinely abducted. Yes, tragically, it was. Then I would ask you to recount to us the events surrounding the stolen waxwork, in as much detail as possible, if you please. Very well, but after I have told you what I know, I must insist that you return to your work. The talents of a great detective could be put to better use, I feel, but as you wish. Alright, great. Now we have to talk to her a bit more. Maybe we'll find out who it was about. Who was stolen. Tell us more about the stolen waxwork, please. It was some days ago now, when I came in here one morning. I immediately noticed that a waxwork was missing from the special exhibit here. It's your most prominent display, so that's why the curtains were closed. And I found the ransom note in its place. Culprit must have broken in during the night and taken it then. So this waxwork that was stolen, it was a model of some horrible criminal, I suppose. Of a particularly horrible criminal, in fact. The killer who left a more profound scar on society than any other, I would say. The Professor. Oh, that's odd. Not a name I've heard of. I wonder how much he looks like Hairbrain. So, Mr. Rio, it seems the circle is complete. Sorry? Professor case happened at around the time I was born, didn't it? Indeed it did, Iris. 10 years ago, a series of murders that rocked the capital. 10 years ago? Yes, at exactly the time that Barak van Zieks graduated from university, in fact. What? So surely he's not saying... So the big event that changed Mr. Reaper's life? As you've surmised, it was the Professor case. Who was this Professor then? Oh man, this is getting interesting. It was a series of gruesome murders that had all of London gripped in terror a decade ago. After 5 victims were killed, the man was arrested and put to death. And now he's immortalized here in wax for all Londoners to admire and enjoy. Though of course, he happens to be absent at present on account of the abduction. I don't understand. How is all this related to Lord Van Zieks? You must first understand, my dear fellow, why it is that the Professor earned such infamy. It was due to the victims he chose, some of Whitehall's finest. What do you mean, Hurley? Those murdered by the Professor were some of the highest members of the British aristocracy. Members of the nobility, even royalty, had sent shockwaves through the country's administration. Members of the... Oh, wait, of course! What Professor Harebrine said. Lord Van Zieks is from a family of noble blood. Oh gosh! It was the 5th victim that led to the Professor's arrest. The last of the killer's prey was a young noble by the name of... Clint Van Zieks. Okay. No, I don't believe it, Van Zieks. I'm sure you can piece together the rest for yourself. In the wake of his older brother's murder, oh, that was his brother in the portrait, wasn't it? The young Barak pursued a career as a prosecutor, and eventually became the Reaper we know today. Makes total sense. I had no idea Lord Van Zieks had such a tragic past. Well, I'm afraid that's all I can say on the matter, for the time being at least. After all, I have work to do. As a waxwork exhibit, man, I really feel like the Professor is linked to Harebrine in some way, as Harebrine himself is basically a professor, and he was Van Zieks' friend at some point, and Van Zieks is now instead prosecuting him. It's all very odd and seems like it's linked in some fashion. I am afraid I shall have to excuse myself as well. Oh yes, of course, it's been a pleasure, thank you. Is it time? Well, none of the predicted scenarios I've been analyzing involved you coming to visit me here. Oh, what is this? It's been too long, it really has. I'm delighted to see you, Barak. It's been 10 years, and here we are, meeting in a prison of all places. I can't forgive myself for what happened to Mr. Asman, I just can't. I still can't believe it could happen. Come on, we're about to get something. Tomorrow the court will decide. Yes. I have a young Eastern man acting for my defense. He seems reliable enough, though. It was an accident, a terrible accident. He assures me he can prove it. I must warn you. Oh, I know. I've heard already. You're going to be prosecuting, aren't you? Yes. Since I returned to England, I've heard lots of stories. Brock, are you really... What? Never mind. I know that you have my best interest at heart. My friend is on trial. I wouldn't entrust it to anybody else. Of course, I fully understand. Thank you, Barak. Until tomorrow, then. I'll see you in court. Great. Great. Lovely. We have finished the investigation phase, at least the opening one. There may be another. Next time, we're going to dive in to the frickin' trial. We're going to see who our wacky jurors are going to be, if there's any repeats. Curious about the witnesses we'll have, because I have a feeling it's going to be new people, perhaps. We might still see Gina make an appearance. Gregson is a witness very often. But yeah, we'll see. Thank you all so much for watching. Feeling great. We're doing awesome. Let's see it. Let's see the magic words pop up. Trial Part 1. Let's go. Feels great. All right. Thank you all. I hope you have a fantastic day. I hope life is treating you amazingly. Thank you so much for spending the time to watch and like and comment and all that stuff. It really, truly means a lot. Make sure that you take care of yourselves. Make sure that you take care of others. And I will see you next time. Peace out.